Okay, today is December 9th, 2014, and we are interviewing Lawrence Baltazar.
Yes.
At Chicago Public Library, Clearing Branch. Mr. Baltazar was born September 9th, 1944. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I'll be the interviewer. Kristen Barnes will be the court reporter for this interview. Mr. Baltazar, can you start and tell me a little bit about your family history?
Well, we always lived in Chicago, and I'm the sixth of one born in our family. And what else? We grew up, we always were like poor. We never had anything. And we just had a bad situation. It was always, our whole life was struggling to try to get ahead. And as we grew up, we were always out looking for pop bottles to, you know, and when we were kids, like when I was 10 years old, we used to go to the airport sharing shoes for money. And we would come home and give our money to my mother. She would take our money after we went sharing shoes. So it was just like a constant struggle growing up. Sometimes it was good, but other times it was just, you were just existing, you know what I mean? And I don't know, and our father was just the man who lived in our house. He was never lifted a finger to do anything for us. So that was like, I grew up personally with, I don't know how to, like in the back of your mind it's always there who he was, but you could never reach him, you know, for help or anything. You could never ask him for help. And I think that stayed with me. I don't know about my other brothers, but that stayed with me for a long time. Till one day I just had to get it all out and just like do away with them. And that was after I was already had kids of my own. I had a talk with them at one of our weddings. And I told him how I felt. I said, you never did anything for us. And I finally got it off my chest. And since that day, it was like a big load off my shoulders, you know. I just never dealt with him after that. And he died, and I never went to his funeral, or I just had no use for him anymore.
Lawrence, what were you doing before you entered the service?
I was working at Sears Roebuck. I quit school when I was 16. Like I said, I quit school. Nobody said, don't quit, you can't quit. They just said, well, if you're going to quit, you better get a job. So I quit when I was 16, and I started working at Sears. And I worked there for 2 years, and what happened was, when I was 17, I tried to go to the Army. And I went to the office to apply, you know, to go in the Army, and the sergeant said, well, you got to take a test before you can go in. I said, okay. So I took the test, and he come back, he said, well, you failed. I said, what do you mean I failed? The test is just supposed to see where they're going to put you in a service. He said, you're 17, right? I said, yeah. He says, go home, get out of here. He says, come back when you're older. So I went home. I said, okay. So I waited till, that was in January of 62. So then I waited till September, because my birthday's coming up in September. So right around my birthday, I went and I joined, and a week later is when I left.
So you joined the Army?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you choose the Army?
Because my two brothers were already in, and I thought about going to something else, you know, the Marines or something, but well, they were in the Army, so I just figured I'll go in the Army too.
What was the highest rank that you achieved?
Spec 4. But I got busted a couple of times. I had problems when I was. I almost got kicked out. I was in the Army for 2 years, and they wanted to kick me out. And I had what they call Article 15. Okay, I had 3 Article 15s in 1 week. And I went to court, and they said I have to get out. So I was waiting for orders to get out. So one of the guys I was stationed with, he says, "You got to write your congressman, your senator." And I said, "What are they going to do? I don't know who to write." He said, "Where are you from? You're Illinois, right?" I said, "Yeah, Illinois." He said, "Well, write a letter to Senator Dirksen." I said, "Well, what do I?" He said, "Just tell him what happened. You want to stay in the Army." I said, "Okay." So I wrote the letter, and I sent it out, and I never heard nothing. And the day I was getting out of the Army, I had cleared posts. I turned in all my bedding and everything, and I was supposed to get out. And a guy came running in the barracks. He says, "Baltazar." I said, "Yeah." He says, "You're not going nowhere." I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "The colonel's all pissed. They got a letter from Dirksen. You're not getting it." I said, "You got to get it." He said, "No." He answered, "You're staying in." He says, "Go get your bedding and everything." I said, "Oh, I can't believe it." So I got all my stuff, and they called me in the office, and they said, "You're staying in," I forgot what it was, 30-day or 60-day probation period. If you don't get in any trouble, they got to keep you. So I was okay. I didn't. My business stayed straight. And they called me in the office after the 60 days. And they said, "You passed your probation period." I said, "Oh, okay." They said, "There's the book, sign out when you're transferred." So they transferred me to headquarters company on the same post. And so that's where I stayed the rest of my last year. I stayed there.
What post were you on?
Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. And so that's where I did my last year in that new company. Then I got out. But that was something.
What, where did you take basic at?
Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Fort where?
Fort Knox, Kentucky. I did Fort Knox, Kentucky. And after that, I went to Fort Gordon, Georgia for teletype. I was a teletype operator. And I went there for school. And from there, I went to Vietnam. And we came back through Chicago, and so I got to run home and see my mother. She was working, so I got to see her while the train, because we had like an 8-hour layover here in Chicago before we catch on the next train. So I made it back, and then we made the train, took us all the way to California. Then from there we flew to Vietnam on Pan Am, because there's only like 8 of us that went to Vietnam out of the whole company. So I don't know how they pick, there was just a few. Everybody was going to Korea or Germany. There was just like 8 of us went to Vietnam.
In what year was that you went to Vietnam?
63, April 63. No, yeah, April 63.
And where did you land?
In Saigon. I was there about a week. Then they flew us up to Quy Nhon. And from there, our company was in Quy Nhon, but I was assigned to Detachment 6, and that was in Bam Mae Thuot. So they flew us to Bam Mae Thuot, and that's where I spent my year. And I was working communications, teletype operator.
Did you always work as a teletype operator?
No, just in Vietnam, that was the only place. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a busy job. Well, I was there when Kennedy was killed. So that was in January. Yeah.
So did you get that communication?
No, because that was top secret. I only had a secret clearance, so they wouldn't let us do any of the work. There was only one sergeant had a top secret, so he got to handle all the stuff.
Was that because of your Article 15s?
No, no. That happened afterwards, after I went back to stateside. That was pretty good over there. I had a good experience.
While you were over there, what did you think about the weather?
I liked it. It was nice and warm. It was a lot of bugs, but I don't know, you get used to it. And I was up north in the mountains, so it was pretty nice. I liked it.
Did you have any specific types of, were there snakes or,
Bugs everywhere, spiders. It seemed like every other month, like a new bug came out. And they would like be swarming all over the place. And then that will clear up, and then a different bug will come out. And that's how it was like for the whole year. Then the rainy season, it was almost every day, like at 4 o'clock, it would rain. And it would rain real hard, for like an hour or so, then it stopped. But it was like every day for the rainy season, it would rain at the same time. You could almost, like you're waiting for it to rain, it's going to rain. But it was a good experience. I liked it.
Did you live in barracks or hooches or?
No, we lived in a hunting lodge. It used to be an old French hunting lodge, and they had long rows of almost like a motel. And we had 2 guys to a room, and in the center of the building was our bathroom and showers. And so we had like about 5 rows like that. And then they had a couple of bigger buildings where they had like a lodge or offices that the officers had. So it was pretty nice. And we had all Vietnamese soldiers that would guard the place. It wasn't bad. We had pretty good living conditions. It wasn't bad at all. Just all, when you go in town, it was like a total different lifestyle for the people. I mean, people lived in little shacks, no plumbing, nothing. And everybody, they just go to the bathroom walk right outside the door, that's where they went. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Did you go into town much?
Yeah, all the time. We were like right on the edge of town. So if you want to go to town, you go shopping and stuff, But it was nice. I mean, but the people didn't want to associate with you much. Only the people in the stores. Otherwise, they just kind of stayed away from you. Especially the girls and stuff. They wouldn't, like, you couldn't walk down the street with a girl. They wouldn't. People would look at them like they just couldn't do it. It was just weird.
Did you send anything home?
I did a crossbow, but that disappeared after I had a crossbow. My mother took it apart and stuck one of the sticks down in a plant, the whole of a plant. And I got a ring that I still have at home that I bought when I was coming home because I had some money. I just wanted to spend it because I didn't want to change it for American money because you get less. So I just spent it and I bought a ring and I still have that. That's the only thing that I have.
Did you take any R&R or leave while you were over there?
No. Some of the guys did. They went to Hong Kong and stuff, but I just stayed there. It was all right.
Did you make any friends within your company or your squadron?
There's one guy in Michigan that he was in Vietnam with me. He was a school teacher. And I still, keep in contact with him every now and then. And another guy that I was stationed with in Fort Leavenworth, I talked to him. Matter of fact, I called him up for his birthday a couple of years ago. Because I got an email from a woman, and asked me if I remember him. And I said, yeah, of course I remember. She said, would you call him up for his birthday? So I hadn't talked to him in years, and I called him up, and he was surprised to hear from me.
Have you seen him?
No, I haven't seen him. I'd like to take he's in Arizona now. I visited him. He got out of the Army first, like in June or July, and me and another guy went to visit him in Nebraska. And we spent a week with him, not a week, a weekend with him. And for Saturday and Sunday, then we went back to our army post after that. But it was a nice. We lived in a little farm town. It was nice. I still remember.
Did you always live on base?
Yeah, I never lived off.
When you were in Vietnam, what was the food like? Did you have a cook?
No, we had a regular meals. We didn't have any hardships there. We had Vietnamese women would work as like waitresses in our mess hall, and they would bring us our food, and we would eat, and we had a very good.
What was your favorite meal?
I don't know. Everything, I guess. We had every Saturday we used to have a cookout. We used to cook out our own steaks. We had a couple of big barbecue grills outside, and they would let us cook our own steak outside and go inside and get salad and everything. We had a sergeant, he would fly to Saigon and order all the food and they'd ship it up to us. So we had real good meals, and because we were stationed with MAG, Military Advisory Group, and we were just communications for them. So there were only about 10 of us that were stationed with them. We weren't part of them. We had our own lieutenant who was in charge of us, and it was just a group of us there. That's why we had it good, because we were with the MAG people. We were with them. They couldn't tell us what to do. We had our own people there. They tried. We had a second lieutenant who let everybody run over us, and he left, and we got a first lieutenant who was airborne ranger, and he came there. And when he came there, nobody told us what to do, because we had a colonel who was in charge of first sergeant. He was in charge of the MAG, and he would come and get us to wash their vehicles, and we would be washing their cars, and me and another guy were out there washing their vehicles, and the lieutenant come walking by and he said, "What in the heck are you doing?" Well, I said, "Well, sergeant told us we have to get back to work." And he went and the sergeant come down there and said, "Where are those guys?" He said, "What are you doing telling my men what to do?" And the sergeant started talking to me. He says, "You stand at attention when you talk to me, sergeant." And the sergeant was like in the service like 25 years already. He was an older guy, and our lieutenant was in his 20s, but he was the second. I mean, he was the first lieutenant, and he, like I said, airborne ranger. He was tough. He told that sergeant, "You see what's on my shoulder?" He said, "You stand at attention when you talk to me. You don't ever talk to my men. You don't tell them what to do, nothing. Now get out of here." And he never bothered us again. That was the end of it.
Do you remember his name?
No, I can't. No, I can't think of it. I can't think of his name, but I liked him. He was real good. He was real good with us. He never let anybody. Like I said, we were a separate unit, so nobody could tell us what to do. He says, "If anybody tells you what to do, you tell them to see me first. You're under my orders. Tell them to come see me first." We were in the bar one time, and the sergeant came in there and made us all leave and go to the airport and helped unload an airplane. And the lieutenant got mad. He said, "What happens if we get some important messages coming up and you're not there to work in the comm center?" He said, "You don't leave that bar. You don't go anywhere. You don't leave this post until you have my permission." So the next time they came in the bar, me and another guy were sitting in there, and the sergeant said, "Come on, all you guys go." And we just sat there. He says, "Hey, did you hear me?" And we said, "We have the lieutenant's orders. We have to stay here. If you wanted to leave, you have to go see him." And they just looked, and they just walked away. And that was it. They didn't bother us anymore.
Did you guys do your own laundry?
Yeah. Oh, not in Vietnam. We didn't. We had what do you call it? Service there. They would come and all the Vietnamese working there. They would wash our clothes, take care of our room, everything. We didn't have anything. Here stateside, like when I came back, well, you have to do your own laundry, sure. We were stationed with the First Guard Company. They took care of the Leavenworth prison. And if you wanted your laundry, it would go to the prison, and the prisoners would wash it. But when you got it back, it was all ripped, and they tear everything up. So what are you going to do then? They're already in prison. So that was it. I sent my laundry there one time. I came back, I never sent it again. I washed it myself.
Did you have to buy your own uniforms after that?
Yeah. Once they issue your uniforms, after that you have to buy all your own stuff. No.
So it was a little costly.
I know.
How'd you stay in touch with your family?
Letters. I wrote a lot, and they would write back. Like I said, my father, we didn't get. I got one letter from him when I was in Vietnam, and his name, my oldest brother, has the same name as my father. So when I got the letter, I thought that was from my brother, because he would write me, and I just opened it up. Then I seen it was from him. I'm like, what the heck is? I'm in the Army over a year, and I get a letter from him. I didn't know what. I never even answered it because what am I going to say? So that was, but everybody else wrote. My brother Bob, he would write a lot, and I would write back to him. So.
Do you remember returning home?
Yeah. When I came back from Vietnam, I came home, and I remember we were living on Archer Avenue, and I come walking up the stairs. My sister was the first one to see me. She said, so she was all surprised, So it was good when I came home.
When you returned home from Vietnam, what was the reception like?
It was just my family. I mean, everybody's happy to see me, but we didn't have a big party or anything. That was it, It was, I don't know, it was just kind of quiet. There was nothing big. It was okay.
And then after that, you went to Leavenworth.
Yeah. I went to Leavenworth.
And you were there for a year?
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
And I came back in April '64, and then I got out in September '65. So it was a year and a half.
Did you ever want to stay in the service?
I thought about it. There was a couple sergeants were telling me to stay, but I didn't think I wanted to. I wasn't sure, We never really had any direction where somebody was telling, would sit down with you and advisor. That is pretty much you're always making up your own mind to do things. It's never really had anybody kind of guide you in a certain way. When I was in Vietnam, the one guy that I was stationed with, he would always tell me, "You better go to school." And I never did. I wish I would have listened to him.
You never went back to school?
No.
You talk about the one guy that you called up and wished him a happy birthday. Was there any other people that you stayed in contact with?
No, I'll tell you a funny thing happened. When I got out of the Army, another guy got out of the Army same time. We went in the same time, and I knew him in basic training. And then he went to Vietnam, and we lost track of each other in Vietnam. But then we ended up both at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. And so we hung out together, and we were good friends. He was from Detroit, so we got out of the Army the same day. So we're going to fly home from Kansas. So at that time you fly standby. Okay, so we're flying standby. So we were at the airport waiting, and the stewardess comes out, and he's from Detroit. So he was flying to Chicago, and I guess he was going to switch planes and fly home. So we're at the airport and we're waiting, and the stewardess comes out and she says, "Are you the two flying standby?" And we said, "Yeah." She said, "Okay, how do you want to fly? A coach or first class?" I said, "First class." And she's asked, "How do you want to fly?" He says, "Coach." So we get on a plane, and he goes one way, and I go the other, and I never saw him again. We got on a plane, we flew to Chicago, and then we get off the plane, and I'm looking for him. I couldn't find him, and I never saw him again. I don't know what happened. I look all over. I went, got my luggage. I'm looking for him, and I could never find him. I never saw him again. Now I don't know if he just stayed on a plane, and the plane was just gonna take off, or he had to switch planes, or what. But I never saw him. Like weird.
Did you ever join any veteran organizations?
I joined veterans here in Downers Grove, but I've never gone to any meetings or anything. I joined, and I was in, I guess it was in Southern Illinois or something. I don't know, because you just sign the paper, and a guy called me up. He says, "You want to transfer to Downers Grove?" I said, I guess. I don't know. So he transferred me to Downers Grove, so I'm in one somewhere around here in Downers Grove, I guess. I don't know. But I've never did anything with them, I just paid the dues money for it, and that's it.
Did you have something that you carried with you that was good luck?
No, I never had anything really.
As telecommunication operators or communication operators, what kind of supplies that did you guys need?
Teletype. I don't know. It used to be like the old ticker tape. Yeah, that's what we did, and it was interesting, and I got to be pretty good at it. And the one guy used to make fun of him because the one I used to work with, he was a school teacher. He would type real, and I would always make fun of him. And I did most of all the typing, but he was smart as far as doing everything else, But it was interesting work doing the teletype. Everything that was going on in Vietnam in our area we knew about, because every day we had to type up an intelligence report and an operations report and send it to headquarters. So we knew everything that was going on, all the fighting going on, how many people were being killed, and everything that was happening in our area I knew about. One time a special forces guy was playing with a baby elephant and it crushed him, and they had to fly him out in a helicopter to the hospital because he got broken ribs and stuff. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. We knew everything that was happening in our area, and people would get attacked by tigers. And somebody shot a tiger and they brought it into our place there.
Did you guys eat it?
No, it was just laying in the back of a truck, a big tiger. But it was just weird. I mean, you see all that stuff. A lot of elephants. They had a big field right across from us. They used to have a lot of elephants over there all the time. But the living conditions for the people over there, it was just. That's what I'm saying. The war's going on, and these people are just caught in the middle of it. They don't know whose side is who, or what I'm saying. They're just stuck in the middle of it. They have no TV, no radios, nothing. So how do they know what's going on? And here everybody's fighting, and they're caught in the middle of something. They have no idea what's happening. It was just sad, Especially the ones living in the jungle. You go in the jungle, and they're living. They used to remind me of Tarzan movies because they're just living in the jungle by themselves. And they would get the village chiefs have him to a tree and kill him if they thought he talked to Americans, because they want to get him where he's not going to help the Americans. So if they thought he helped them, they would take him in the jungle, tie him to a tree, and kill him. And here these people are living in the jungle. Like, what do they know? But that's what they did. We used to get the reports every day, and that's what happened. Read about them. Killing people for no reason. It's sad.
Were there any entertainers that came to see your units?
No. It was, I think the fighting wasn't, there were not that many Americans there where the fighting was real bad, so there was nobody there.
Well, I asked you if you remembered the day your service ended. When you came back, did you immediately go back to work?
Yeah. I went right back to Sears.
And what you do there?
I was just working in, Sears used to be a catalog warehouse. So I was working in the shoe department. I went right back there, and it was, I stayed there maybe a month or so, then I quit. And I got a job working at a Central Steel Wire Company. And then I worked there for a while, then I got a job working on the docks at a truck company, and that's where I stayed. And then I've been worked trucking most of my life. I was a truck driver, that's why I retired from driving the truck. That's what I did.
How do you think your military life, your military experience affected your life?
Makes you get along with other people, and it teaches you to respect other people, because military, you can't talk to anybody the way you want to. You have to, it's always yes sir, no sir. You get so used to it. But it trains you to get along with people and to show respect. You know, when I see people today like they're stepping on the flag, I can't take it, you know. It really bothers me a lot. Especially these demonstrators doing it now, you know. They're flying the flag upside down. I can't handle that.
What message would you like to leave for future generations who will view this interview?
I don't know. Just that we, you know, you just try to do the best you can. And our country is such screwed up today that I just wish things could be better. People would have more respect for America. I mean, so many people have died. When you go to cemetery on Memorial Day, you see all those flags. And now you see people stepping on them and burning them. I just don't like that.
Is there anything that we have, anything you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added to this interview?
No.
Okay. Well, at this time, I would like to thank you for my freedom. And I would also like to thank you for honoring me with the ability to interview you, to be the one that interviews you today.
It's like something I haven't, like nobody knows about it, so it's like, you know, this is good. It's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.